All right, let's get the jokes out the way now. Yes, I know I look like Marge Simpson's twin sisters with my hair like this, but every now and then I gotta redo it so the braids are looking fresh. But I just wanted to start this video off with some bad news because earlier this week I was kind of on a practice shoot, me and a few other people were just getting some clips, doing a real shoot, but it was a fake shoot. Like, it wasn't for a client or anything, it was just more just to practice our skills, but also making it useful by still shooting it for a brand. And yeah, we got to the end of it, everything was all good. We got some nice drone shots, got some nice shots on the gimbal, on the one wheel, everything was all good until I said, let me just get one more shot. I really have this nice idea. So get the idea going. The shot was going really well. I was panning, getting a really nice wide motion until we crashed. But I'll play the clip here so you can see it was actually a nice drone clip until that is a little bit easier to handle. So yeah, the drone, it's gone, RIP. Luckily I did have DJI Care refresh, so it's all good. But yeah, the drone, this front left leg completely gone. The propellers are fine. The gimbal actually connected to the drone. I don't know if you can see that properly. But here it's, yeah, this is not really attached anymore. It's attached at one screw, but the rest of it, yeah. So yeah, I just have to send the drone off to the Netherlands. They check to see if the drone's mine, check to see if it is actually broken. I'm not just trying to finesse the system. And yeah, they sent me back a new drone. So I'm excited to get a new drone. Annoyed that I broke the drone, but we move. At least I got the drone shot. So in today's video, I actually want to talk to you guys about budget filmmaking equipment. Now, before I do get into it, I'm not hating on budget filmmaking equipment because me, myself, I've bought a bunch of it. Everyone starts somewhere, you have to kind of build your way up the ranks before you can start buying the biggest stuff and the more expensive stuff. But I have 3 reasons as to why you should almost just limit the amount of budget gear that you are buying. And the first one simply is, at the end of the day, it's budget for a reason. So yeah, you may get by, you may be able to do what you're trying to do, but the quality that it's producing more times than not is going to be at a budget level. If you want your videos to look very high quality and very professional, you have to be using high quality and professional stuff. Not to say not that everything that is expensive looks amazing or everything that's cheap looks bad, but for the most part, budget gear looks budget. The sound quality for a mic, the color accuracy for a light, these different things, they are budget for a reason. And number 2 is that you have to make compromises. So if we use lenses, for example, they say there's kind of like a buying triangle for lenses where you have cheap options, fast options, or good quality option, and you can only have 2 points on the triangle. You can have a good quality lens, but then you have to choose whether you want a low aperture or you want a cheaper lens with a higher aperture. For example, like the 16-35, very classic focal length range comes in 2 different options. You have the f4 version, which, yes, good quality, it's pretty much the same quality as the f2.8 version. But the f2.8 can obviously stop down a lot more. You can get more bokeh from it. You can let more light in. So it's really depending on how you want to shoot. Same with the 70-200. You have the f4 or the f2.8 version. So when you do get things on more of a budget level, there are always compromises you have to make. And the last one is just that you can't do much of it once you're ready to upgrade. The gear just kind of ends up sitting there because it's too cheap and not that great to sell. No one else really wants to buy it off you because it's cheap enough they can buy it new themselves, and then you could give it away, but not many people even want it anyway. So it ends up just sitting there because you don't necessarily want to throw a microphone in the bin. That's just not really good for the environment, I presume. But yeah, so it just kind of ends up sitting there, and it's almost like a waste of space, waste of money, when you could have just waited a tiny bit longer and got something a bit better. So I'm going to give you 3 examples of gear that I've bought myself, some of which I have right here, I will show you, and then the alternatives that you could just spend a tiny bit more and then get a much better result. So the first one is this microphone. This is the Takstar SGC 598, and the mic itself isn't terrible per se, but it's really not the best. One, it's so big. Why does it need to be so long? what is all of this? There's all this controls. Like, yeah, you get long mics, but at least they're just the mic, not this nonsense. And yeah, so that's one, it looks weird. Two, it doesn't sound that great. It does have some good stuff on it. You know, it has the plus 10 dB and the wind filter, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, the mic itself doesn't sound that great when you could just spend a little bit more. And get this. This is the Movo VXR10. I think it's maybe £10, $10 more, like not much more at all. But the sound quality sounds a lot better, even though this doesn't even have any controls. You know, the Movo is just the mic, you plug it in, that's it. But one of the great benefits of it, it's not internally powered, it's powered by the camera. So as soon as you turn the camera, the mic's on. With this, it's powered by a battery. So you have to remember to turn it on. Two, you have to remember to have fresh batteries inside. If you don't have a battery, you don't have audio. And yeah, the size difference, even with a dead cat, you can see. What's the best way to show this? Like that. Like massive, especially with how cameras are just getting smaller and smaller nowadays. You don't need a mic this big to get the same quality, especially if it's like this. There are benefits of bigger mics, but for what? You know, if you're putting it on top of your camera, you need something like this. And the second item relates to when you're starting to build your camera out. You know, maybe you might get a cage, might get a side handle or a top handle. Now, I'm not saying don't get them because they are great and I use them all the time, but look at the equipment you're getting. So for example, this is the top handle I first got. I thought it was great. You know, slip it into the hot shoe mount and you eventually got more of a rig camera. You can put your camera on top, a mic on the side, and it's all good. But I've unfortunately dropped my camera twice. One time I actually thought I cracked the back of the screen on my camera. Luckily I had a screen protector on it, but because of this, it does kind of slip into the top handle here. But over time, when you're moving the camera back and forth, you're doing all these things, it can start to move. And the top handle isn't actually made to hold the weight of your camera, especially with a load of attachments on it as well. So yeah, just instead of getting something like this where it slips right into the handle, get something that you put directly on a cage, because that is going to be a lot more safer. You're not just holding the weight of your camera and all the accessories through the small mounting point. You're actually holding it with the whole weight of the camera on the cage. So don't waste your money on a solo top handle that could potentially break your camera and cost you a lot more money. But if you're going to use top handle with a cage, get a whole cage that fits with a top handle. I can remove this. Don't say I don't have to use this cage and a top handle all the time. I can remove it. I just need an Allen key and get through. And yes, it's a little bit longer. I can't just slide it in and out. But is that extra time worth the thousands of pounds you spent on the camera and the lens? Probably. And the last one I can't actually show you right now because I don't have it accessible, but I'll still put an image up here just so you can see what it looks like. And it's just cheap video lights. You know, you see them quite often. There's loads of different DIY versions, all these different things. And yeah, they can provide light, but they're just not worth, you know, all the stress, the hassle, because that's one of the things you really have to compromise on. You know, you probably can't change the color temperature, or if you can, it may not be color accurate. The power it provides probably won't be enough. It may be good enough for something like Zoom, for like a Zoom call, but it's not going to be enough for you to, you know, really go on like a client shoot and do it. You know, when you see these kind of DIY caked in lights, like if you were paying someone to make a video for you and they turned up with, you know, a cake tin with some tape on it, and like you're gonna think, why am I paying these guys? You know, what am I paying for? So, you know, it's also that look of professionalism. You don't want to look like you don't know what you're doing at the same time. Yeah, try to, you know, steer away from so much of the budget gear, because a lot of the times you end up either having to compromise, it doesn't end up being as good as it promised, or you just outgrow it very quickly and it ends up sitting there taking up space. So try to limit the amount of budget gear that you are purchasing. All right, that's pretty much everything I wanted to say. So I hope you did get some value from this. You know, got a few warnings about some gear to avoid, not to hate on the companies or anything, but yeah, thank you for watching this video. If you did enjoy, drop a like down below. I would ask you to subscribe, but I'll leave the option up to you, and I'll catch you in the next one. See ya.